Next thing I want to talk about it is up to this point we just learned how to draw 3D object or draw any drawing 2D or 3D drawing, but usually it is not what we want to give it to the client. So when we do the drawing, we want to export it as a report or as a design or any type of this, and then you pass it. For example, you print out that drawing or you save it as a PDF and then send it to whoever need your drawing. So I'm gonna right now show you how we can actually uh, do that. So up to this point, all we were talking about is how to draw. Now it's that how you prepare it for to export whatever you draw in order to give it to whoever is the client. I'm gonna do it in the 3D so we can see how we work with that, but it's just the same in 2D as well. So I'm gonna start the 3D drawing here. And again, if you don't see the 3D menu up here, come here on this gearbox and then click on 3D modeling in order to go to the 3D view. So as I said, I'm gonna show you how to do that for the 3D drawing, but it's the same if you are in the 2D drawing. So let me first start drawing a 3D object. So let me come here and change these two, and then let's go to the front view and assume I'm gonna draw a line started from 0, 0 and go for, let's say, 60, and then let me zoom in, and then let me draw another line, goes from 0, 0 up for 30, vertically up for 30, then I go to the right for 20, and then I just click close to close it. Oh, sorry, no, let me delete that and draw from here to here. Okay, so assume this is my cross section. Now I'm gonna just simply join them together to create one. So I click on the join command here, and then I select everything I draw and press enter. So now all of them are the single drawing. So now I will go back to 3D view, and I go to the word, and then I press pull it. I select this and they press pull it for 20 and press enter. So it's going to be my view. Now let me go and make this like this so we can see it better. Now I'm gonna just create a hole on this from the top surface. So I'm gonna move the UCS. So as you see, we can either type the UCS in on the command line, or we can easily click on this UCS here in case I want to move it. So I want to bring my UCS on this top surface. So it's gonna be zoom in, so that's going to be my corner here, and it's going to be the X on this line and the Y on this line. So it's going to be up here. As I said before, you can use these dynamic UCS to help you. I myself find it's easier just move my UCS there. For now it's off. If it is on, by automatically it's gonna choose whatever surface you are going to drawing on that. So I bring my UCS here, and then I'm going to draw, assume a circle with a diameter of 10. So I click on this one, and also I want to create from this. Also I come here on the center. So this is my center, and I want the diameter be 10. And then I'm gonna create a hole. So I just click on this press pull, select the area and move it down and create that. Press enter, and then I move my UCS to its origin. So I click on the word so it goes back there. So assume this is my drawing. So what I draw is like that. Now assume this is my final drawing and I want to prepare the report or export it either print it or export it as a PDF or any format that um, I need. So before I go ahead forward and show you how actually we will do that, one thing I want you to look at here down here, we have, it says the model, what we have here. When we see this model, is means that we are in the model space. So basically when we are in the model space, we just drawing whatever we want to draw. There is another space that is called paper space, and it's going to be replaced. This model space is going to be switched to the paper space if I click on that. The paper space is the space that we prepare the final report, that whatever we want to actually export. So when we are in the model space, we draw. When we are in the paper space, we prepare whatever we already draw to be exported. How we will export it? So if again you look at this tab here on the lower um, left corner, so we have a couple of tabs. This is the first one is the model, and this is by default when you open the AutoCAD you're going to be. So the model tab is where you actually draw your model. There are the two layout tabs, and you can add more if you want. This layout tab is actually where you prepare your whatever you are going to export. So in simple word, the model is where you are drawing. The layout is as your paper. So you look, it is going to look as a paper and drawing, and how you actually is going to do that. By default, so I haven't clicked on it. By default, for the very first time that you click on the layout, AutoCAD is going to create automatically a paper version of whatever you drawn, so it can be exported there. And then later I will show you how you can do it in other way, but this is the simple way if you have a simple drawing and you just want the AutoCAD to simply export it. So I click on the layout, and you will see that the AutoCAD is going to automatically create a paper. So look at that paper. It is what you are going to get if you right now export it. And you look at here, you get here, it's done here, it changed to the paper. And this is what you get. And just to export it, simply you can come here on that, assume this is what you want. You can come here or click on the AutoCAD icon here, and you can either export it as a PDF, so it's going to save it as a PDF, or you can print it, so you can send it to if you have a printer or plotter or whatever you have, or any other way you want to do. Usually you do either export it as a PDF if you want to create a report, or you print it on the plotter or the printer that you have. So as you can see, is by default it's created automatically for you. Now if you want to make some changes, so if you look at here at this one, and that I hold my mouse on that, it calls the viewport, and basically the viewport is whatever that control whatever is going to be drawn on your paper. So that white background is your paper, and this one is the viewport, is whatever actually control what's going to be shown on that paper. So this is one thing that want to make sure before we start to modify this, because we can go and modify this and make it the way we want to do that. But before we are doing before we are modifying this, one thing that we want to do is that we want to um, actually what it says that set up our paper size. So before doing anything, probably the very first thing you want to do is that you want to go ahead and start to set up your paper size. When you uh, click on when you're on the layout tab, the one thing that you will see is going to be one tab is going to be here, is that layout tab is automatically is going to be shown here. So you can click on that layout tab, and as soon as you click on that layout tab, this layout menu will be open, and one of the very first thing here is the page setup. So it lets you to do the page setup thing. Also, you can do it if you go on this output tab. There is an output tab also here. If you click on that, also it lets you to do the page setup. So I will go ahead here on the output layout tab, click on the page setup. So before doing anything, that's probably the very first thing you want to do. You want to set up your um, um, page layout. Here only we have one layout because we haven't clicked on the layout 2. The AutoCAD does assume it's not there. But if you have more than one layout, the name, you're going to have different name here. But here we have one layout here. So I'm going to modify the page on that. So if I click on the modify, the very first thing is that how do you want to this one to print. So if you want to print it, you will choose the printer name. If you want to be exported as a PDF, you can come here and select the PDF. So the AutoCAD couple of options here, so you can choose AutoCAD PDF, high quality, small quality, web quality, or you can come here and choose this one, DWG to PDF. So usually this is probably the one you're going to use, so AutoCAD PDF. If you have a printer or plotter, you can choose the printer or plotter you have for if you actually want to print it or plot. So here I choose the AutoCAD PDF as my printer. So you choose whatever printer you want. The next thing that you need to choose is your paper size. Now, when you come here and click on paper size, because we choose the metric, and in the metric, the A4 paper is probably the most common type of the paper. So it's already is on A4. So if you look at it, it's already on ISO A4. If you are in the US, you probably want to do it on the draw it on the letter paper. So you can go ahead and choose for example whatever paper you want. So if you go up there, you see it has tons of different type of paper it has. So for now, I will, for example, I will choose the ANSI in the landscape format. So ANSI A in the landscape, so it's going to be 11 by 8.5 well, for that. So it's my paper size, and you can see it here. Also, there's a scale here that it scales is just your printing scale. It doesn't have anything to do with your drawing scale. And basically what it says that whatever printing scale you have is equal to 25.4 of the drawing scale. And why is that? Because we draw everything in millimeter, and we know that 1 inch is equal to 25.5 millimeter. So that's what it says to you. It says whatever your drawing scale is, which is for us is millimeter, 25.4 of that would be equal of 1 inch when it's exported. So usually you don't need to change it, just leave it as it is. It is just the printing scale, and it just says that 1 inch is 25.4 millimeter. And when you are done with these things, that usually these two are the printer and the paper size is what you want, you click on OK, and then just close it. Now look at this dash line. The dash line, and again, you can go in the page setup and change it. But remember that this dash line is the area that actually is going to be printed out. Anything is outside of that dash line would not be printed out. So it's going to be blank, anything out of that dash line. So make sure you are not putting anything outside that dash line. Now that I have set up my paper size, I can go ahead and actually start to work with my um, viewport. So if I go ahead and, for example, first of all, I assume I want to make it larger, so I bring it here, and then, for example, I click on this corner, I bring it here. So uh, this is my assume the area I want to do. Now assume I don't want those grid lines, so how I'm gonna get rid of those grid lines? So again, you double click on this. You have this viewport. If you double click on that, so as soon as you double click on that, you'll see down here it changed to the model space, and it lets you do whatever you do in the model space. So you can you have actually everything that you have. You can move it, zoom in, zoom on, draw anything, make any changes you want. For example, if you don't want the outline be like that, so you can go ahead, go back, and for example, instead of X-ray, say, so okay, I want to make it just gray, like that. And then you don't want, assume you don't want to see the grid line, come here and turn off the grid line. So the grid line is also gone there. And then so go back there, and when you're done, just double click outside that, and then it goes back to the paper format. One last thing that I want to say that is these two, actually these two here. This one, if this triangle, if you click on this triangle, it lets you to change the scale of how it's going to be shown. So you can actually come here and change it. For example, I'm just going to do that in 1/2, so it's going to make it just smaller. So if I'm going to make it 2/1, it's going to make it. So in case that you want to change the scale, you can come here and change the scale. The other one, this one, if you just single click on that, you can just simply move it to any place that you want. So these two are also handy in case that you want to make any changes in the drawing. And now if I go ahead again here, click on the export as a PDF or print it, this is what I see here is actually what's gonna be printed to the PDF or printed to the printer or plotter that I have. So this is the simplest way that we can export whatever we draw in the model space to the paper, or actually put it on the PDF or printer.